Uh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Ask TJ About Marketing. I'm your host, Terry Johnson from Terry Johnson Online, and I'm a marketing specialist where I have several years of experience in marketing strategy, and advertising. Now, I'm here today to help you with the basics of marketing and to better understand what marketing is all about and any of these basic questions that you have about marketing. Well, you're going to get the answer right here. So today's question is, are you ready? Here it comes. There's been a lot of talk about ChatGPT and AI, and we've got to continue to talk about it because it is being integrated into a lot of things. So today I wanted to talk about finding your voice. And what that is finding your brand voice. And that means it's just the way that you talk and write, especially online. So ChatGPT and other generative AI tools, people are talking about, oh, they write content, they write this, they write that, but you may have seen a lot of the output or the responses or the results very generic. I've seen it because people will just copy and paste, and we talked about not copying and pasting right out of these tools, these generative AI tools, because you're going to sound like everybody else and you're going to sound like a robot. So you just wasted your time, and that's not what these tools are about. These tools are to shortcut the time of making content. It's not to replace you, the human. It's to say, the human being, the human us, we can, now I don't have to sit and fuss and look at a blank piece of paper and go, what do I write? What do I say? What do I hear that all the time? What do I say? What do I do? And I'm like, your answer, your questions are answered now. They're answered.
Yes.
That's the only way I can put it, right?
Yep.
And if you've used it, let me know. Hey, Carlos, good morning. In the chat, let us know what if you're using AI and what tool. Let us know. But we've talked about Canva, right? Which I think is pretty awesome.
Yes.
Chat GPT is the top of the echelon. It's the top of the pyramid. All the other tools that you hear about, like Jasper AI, Copy AI, there's a bunch of those. They all use the engine that runs Chat GPT. They're using Chat GPT. And it may be an older version, but it's still Chat GPT. But if you want to say, like, you want to go to the original source, you go to Chat GPT, which is now AI.com, because they bought the domain. Million. I think they spent like 11 million to buy it. I think we mentioned it on a Friday.
Wow.
They spent 11 million, I believe. And they bought AI.com. So now you don't have to remember that long
Open URL. AI, whatever we were doing before.
AI.com. That's it. Well,
it just, for their brand.
Yes. In a branding perspective, this makes sense. It's a little bit more than, it's more than they wanted to spend. I'm pretty sure they didn't want to spend 11. Who wants to spend 11 million? But if you're everybody's saying Chat GPT in it, and the next thing is people go, well, where do I find it? And then they put this long URL. Well, you spent $11 million, which to them, they write it off anyway. So,
and it makes sense, because if you want, like you said, if somebody asks, where's Chat GPT? If you said, go to open.ai, blah, 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 you're going to be like,
nobody doing
the
it.
Right neighborhood, you don't
Ain't nobody doing it.
But
This is rule number one with business. When you're buying a domain, you want the simplest one. Yahoo.com, Google.com,
right,
Open.com, AI.com. And if they cost them $11 million, then the person that bought AI.com, whenever they bought it, I think it was 10 years ago they bought it. I think I looked it up in the 90s. No, maybe the 2000s. Whenever the person that owned it bought it for, let's say $8.99. Or maybe let's be fair and say maybe they spent $25. That I wouldn't see them spending more than that. Let's say between 8 and 25.
right.
They just got $11 million.
And now this is going to spark the domain sitting wars again.
Yeah. You
buy a domain and hold it and sit on it for a minute.
This is why when Twitter first started, people that got the I think the Jack Dorsey, his is @Jack. His is not Jack 357 in the mix, blah blah. Whatever that stuff you got to do,
right?
To get a username. That's why I always say when there's a new platform, go and get your squat on your username, your brand name, because you don't have to use it right away, but you've got it when it comes due. I think I said that about TikTok before the pandemic. Was go over there. Yeah, go over there and get your brand name. This was before the pandemic. We said that. And I said, because you're going to want it. So here we are, 3 years later after the pandemic. Aren't you glad that you you signed up with your domain?
Right.
I mean, your brand name, not domain, your brand name over on TikTok. So now if you're ready 3 years later, I mean, it's still, you can still use it. We talked about the political side of it, but if you want to use it, go ahead. But, if you signed up 3 years ago or before the pandemic, you're good. But if you didn't, you have to go, well, okay, my brand is, I always think about plants, succulent plants. And now I can't use succulent plants because somebody took it. So now I got to be something different on TikTok when I'm that on everything else. Do you see how that is? So this is what we're talking about with this AI.com, which is a part of your brand voice, because this is a part of branding. This is, I'm McDonald's worldwide. I'm Nike worldwide. I'm Apple worldwide. Right? I'm not Apple 3657 exclamation point underscore on this planet, on this platform and over on Instagram, I'm Apple. No, you're just Apple.
Yep.
So see, this is a part of the AI. And I'm like, if they've got the money, why not? Microsoft gave them what? A couple billion? Was it 10 billion? So they got the money. And they're gonna write it off. So there you go. But that's a part of your branding. Because you want it to be less, you want it to be a couple of words or a word if you're lucky. Like I said, Nike, McDonald's, Apple, P&G. I'm trying to think of some others that are one word. Dunkin'. Here's an example. Dunkin' Donuts was Dunkin' Donuts. Now they're just Dunkin'.
Right.
One word. Easy to remember. Flows off the tongue. I don't have to remember Dunkin' 3657 exclamation point underscore because Dunkin' was taken.
Right. And then you lose credibility when you got underscore and all of that. I'm like, I can't trust that.
Don't do that, because people gonna say here's an example. You're gonna go on a podcast, you're gonna go on an Instagram live or a live somewhere, and they're gonna say, where can we reach you? Well, on Instagram, it's Apple3675 underscore exclamation point, and on Facebook, it's Apple 26. No,
don't do that.
You already lost them. Because one, if it's a podcast, they're listening. I'm not
writing that down.
I'm not gonna remember that. I'm not gonna write it down. See, you're expecting your audience to do something that, well, it's not hard to write it down. No.
I gotta use my brain cells for other things, not to figure
Apple,
out your
Google,
language.
Yahoo, Microsoft. Why do those names flow off the tongue? Because they're one words, not because they're big brands. They became big brands because they was one word things. So just the thing about the AI.com. So I thought, personally, I thought it was a good move. It's not, it hurt the pockets, but they got the money. So
look, they just invested a few billion in anyway.
They're gonna write it off. That's a write-off. That's a write-off. So to us, it sounds like a lot. To them, they're like, yeah, we gonna make it 11 million in like 10 minutes with ChatGPT. All right, so enough of that. So your brand voice, very important. So you got the name, and now your voice. It's just simply how you talk and write online. And it's not, and like I said, I've seen a lot of copy, especially on Instagram and stuff, and I'm like, oh, y'all just ChatGPTing it up, huh? You just having fun with this thing. Lots of big words that they never use, and you can tell because if you go back, say pre-November 2022, and look at their content, and then look at it after, and you're going, that's ChatGPT. Not that I'm putting them down. I'm just saying that you're not supposed to straight copy and paste, because you're going to sound like everybody else that use ChatGPT. So you got to find your brand voice. So remember that. And I like to call ChatGPT, I call it a pet. It's a pet. The tool, you got to train it. So when you have a dog, what do you have to do?
Train it.
When you have a cat, well, you can try, but it's hard.
When you can get the cat to walk on a leash, you're doing good.
Cat be like, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I might do that, I might not, and it makes a difference if you have a treat in your hand. So ChatGPT is a pet. The treat is the prompt. You got a good treat, you're going to be more successful teaching them roll over and this and that and all the wonderful things you see in the pet circus when they have, and you see the animals do all the jumping over fire and jumping. They had to train the pet to do that. And how do they do it? With rewards and treats.
Yep.
Right?
Carlos said, I'm too lazy. Copy and paste. Sue me.
No, I'm saying that's, if you want to do that, that's fine. The people that are doing it is fine. It's just that your audience, there's going to be a couple of, maybe later in the year, regular people going to be like, that's just ChatGPT, because it sounds repetitive, because you're asking it generic prompts or generic thing. Give me a book about blah blah blah, and I'm like, that's not how you want to use this tool effectively, because you want to use this tool to shorten your time of creating content that attracts your target audience. And if you start talking like a robot after years of talking like a real person, and then you start talking like a robot with your content, and people going, what the hell?
What happened? Did the Stepford Wives get
what the hell? So I hear a lot, and I go around different places and I hear the conversation, especially because this is the hot thing. I listen to and I read and see what people are saying. A lot of people are like, what's so good about ChatGPT? Because it just gives out generic bland stuff. And I'm like, yes, it does. Because you didn't put your order in correctly. So if you go to a restaurant, 5-star restaurant, and you go, well, what's the hype about this restaurant? You go to, here in New York, you go to Tribeca, or you go downtown or whatever, Houston or whatever, and there's the hot new restaurant, and, you get in there, everybody's raving about it. You get in there and you get, you give your order, and you maybe it's in a French restaurant or whatever, and you don't pay attention, and you just, well, give me that. And they bring out a plate of boiled potatoes. I could boil potatoes at my house. What's so good about this restaurant? Well, you didn't order correctly. You didn't get the, whatever that's on the specialty that's on that menu that everybody knows to order. See, that's how it works. So you're going to ChatGPT and going, you ordered boiled potatoes. Well, that's what you got, because you didn't know what you ordered. You didn't put it in the right format. So that's what I mean about ChatGPT being a pet, that you got to train it, and you have to say it correctly, and you have to tell, I want this. You have to be very specific. Very to get the maximum benefit. We're talking about maximum benefit. Just like I say, copy and paste. If you want to copy and paste, go ahead. I'm not copying and pasting. I'm going, I got an idea, I give it to ChatGPT, and they say, oh, try this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And I go, oh, I like number 3. Let me take number 3 and rework and refine it and work on it. And that doesn't take hours. That's minutes. Minutes. Because what you put in is going to get, oh, that's what you want? ChatGPT says, that's what you want? Oh, man, I'm going to give it to you. Because you asked it the right way. So what we want to talk about with defining your brand voice is that you can use ChatGPT to do that, to talk in your voice as close as it can, instead of sounding like what everybody asks it and the generic stuff that it gives. Because it will just give it. It doesn't care. It doesn't care. It doesn't know what's in your brain yet.
It is. It's not because people think it. Well, it's not human. It can't reason. It can't.
Ones and zeros, people. Everything we're doing right now on the internet, everything, this lot, ones and zeros. When you break it down, it's binary. So you can't get mad with the thing and say, well, what good is it? I don't see what the hype is about. I've heard that. What's the hype about it? It gives out these generic sounding, or it gives out stuff that sounds like a term paper. It gives out, it gives out false information. I've seen that. It's giving me false information, and I go, oh, that's not right, ChatGPT. But that's me going, okay, I need a fact check. Most of it is good. 80% of it is good. There's that's not right. That's not right. And I go and I fix it, because I know that's not right. But see, that's a part of the process. You and ChatGPT are partners, and you want ChatGPT to do 80% of the work for you. Why? Because that's more time for you to run your business and think about scaling and new products and getting new customers and all that stuff you can work on. And you let the ChatGPT is the sewing machine. You let it back. It's back there sewing instead of you hand stitching all your content. Remember that now you've got the sewing machine, so you just it's done. It's a pillow. It's a this. It's a that. That's what it is. Okay, but I'm bringing up this because I want you to think about how you can teach it to sound like you as close as possible, and that's doable. Has anybody come across that? Like, you seeing AI give you generic stuff, and you're going, I don't like this.
But again, it goes back to what you said about prompts. If you ask generically, you're going to get generically. Mm-hmm. And so I've been playing with it for real estate, but I've been very, very selective, putting in the details that I want to, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And it popped out things, and then when I'm like, that's not quite what I'm looking for, and I'll change it to what I want. But
right. Exactly. It doesn't, because it's not. It's ones. It's binary. It's code.
So Linda does herbs.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's rosemary, if I'm not mistaken. So how would she use the chat for her?
Okay, yeah, there's lots of ways to do it, but I'm going to give you the idea. You tell it, you tell it, I am a garden. I am a not horticulture. I'm a gardener. I'm trying to think of it. So that's it for today's question. I hope you got your answers. I hope you got the information you need to help you better understand marketing and marketing strategy, so you can build your business or your brand online. Now, there's a lot of information online, but a lot of that is, it may not be clear, or it may be outdated, or you just need some clarification. So I hope this information was helpful to you today. So if you need more help, if you have any additional questions, reach out to me, Terry Johnson Online. That is every platform that's available. That's your favorite platform. So reach out to me there. Send me a DM, a message, a comment, and let me know you have a question, and I'll try to answer it. Now, if you want to go to my website, it's terryjohnsononline.com. You can reach me that way also. So that's it for Ask TJ About Marketing. That was today's question. I will see you next time.